If David weren't in any way connected to the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, wouldn't someone have come out with a statement? As we think about the car, the property he was apparently renting, the new footage, the statement from police, we are now getting new perspective on this case from a former detective commander. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. As we continue to cover the investigation into the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, whose body was found in the trunk of a car registered to singer 20-year-old David last month, I want to now get new perspective. And I want to get new perspective, who we're going to bring on in a minute, a retired detective commander. And I think it's important because there are so many moving parts to this, especially since so much has been happening as of late. We learned a new timeline of events. We learned about what was happening with that property that apparently was being rented by David, whose real name is David Anthony Burke, which was reportedly, by the way, near where the car, the Tesla, with Celeste's body inside was found. This property apparently nearby. We learned there was a possibility she wasn't murdered. But here's the thing. There have been no arrests since her body was found in the trunk on September 8th. Authorities have not identified a suspect nor a person of interest. And to be clear, David has not officially been implicated in any wrongdoing or any crime, and law enforcement have not even come out with a definitive connection between the singer and Celeste. But I want to bring on right now Will Svilar, who's a retired detective commander. Will, thank you so much for taking the time. You and I haven't had a chance to talk about this case yet, as it's really in the news. It's continuing to develop. We're trying to understand what's happening behind the scenes. Since you and I haven't spoken, let me get your perspective. Why no arrest? Why not name any suspect? Why not name any person of interest at this point? It's been weeks now, and it's almost, what are we at? Almost a month, almost a full month since the body was found.
Well, one thing I want to be clear on is a crime has been committed. Now, and the crime is minimum, we call it in Illinois, desecration of a corpse or improper handling of a dead body. The girl was put in the trunk of a car, dismembered. Somebody did that. That's a crime. Now, the events leading up to her death and her actual cause of death still has to be determined. And without that, you're not going to get a murder charge. Unless somebody says it's a murder, and that's the medical examiner, you're not going to get a murder charge.
To couple that, we've talked about this extensively here on Sidebar, but I haven't talked to you about it. LAPD Captain Commanding Officer Scott M. Williams told People magazine, quote, "The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner has not determined a cause or manner of her death, so we don't know for sure if anyone has any criminal culpability for her death beyond the concealment of her dead body." Now, with that in mind, something I don't think we've talked about yet, is that Fox 11 LA, they spoke with a private investigator, Steve Fisher, who apparently got his hands on images of that car, the Tesla, that Celeste was found in. And remember, this car was apparently sitting there for weeks before it was towed to that tow yard, and then workers there smelled this foul odor and alerted authorities. But it was in the Hollywood Hills. Now, it could suggest she was in that trunk for that extended period of time, too. We don't know how long she was in the trunk per se, but her body was decomposed. Anyway, so Fisher says, quote, "The car almost looks like it's been off-road in the desert or something. The wheel wells are all beat up. There's a huge dent in the back. This could have been an overdose, and they panicked and hid her body because they didn't want to expose the relationship between her and the minor." And by the way, she was found one day after she would have turned 15. With that in mind, you had mentioned that a crime has been committed. We're just not exactly sure how many crimes.
That's absolutely true. And that's correct. Everything we talk about now as far as cause of death is speculation until we have some science to back it up. When you talk about a crime, we talk about the concealment, the dismemberment, the desecration of the corpse. We also talk about a situation where if they can prove that there's some sort of relationship between a 14-year-old and a 20-year-old, that's a problem for him. Yeah, the age of consent in Illinois is 17. You can't give consent at 14 to be with an adult. There's another crime. That's like the backside of that is another crime. If the LAPD can come up with definitive proof that he was in fact involved in a relationship, he has another problem.
Let's analyze this a bit. What makes more sense to you? Someone panicked, put the body in the car, didn't have enough time to know what to do with it. The car was there for a long period of time, though, so I don't know if that makes sense. Or we're purposely putting it in this car. We know it's registered to David. The car is near where the property he was renting was. There's an argument we're targeting David. I mean, what makes more sense to you?
Well, it's an awful elaborate scheme to target David by a rival or something along those lines, to do a murder and then steal his car and then put the body in the car. Now, he never reported this car stolen, so we don't know if there's an auto theft in that. That seems pretty elaborate to me. The girl dying of her natural causes is possible. A murder is definitely possible. And you say the car is found not far from where the house he was renting. The car has been evidence that it's been in the desert off the road. If I'm investigating this, I am trying to find a route from his home to where this body is found and see if there is any, part of out of the desert or an off-road area where maybe she dies or she's killed. They take her to that spot. They do what they do to her body, put it in the car, and then get rid of it and then ditch the car. So there's a lot of things that still have to be determined.
So if you're a fan of Sidebar, by the way, then you know we cover a lot of cases and we put out a lot of clips a day. And I will tell you, you might be saying, how are you able to do that? Well, we use a platform called Opus Clips. So if you're online, if you're on social media, this may be of interest to you. It is an all-in-one AI editor that makes it easier and faster to cut, create, and upload videos across all social media platforms. Through the power of AI, Opus Clip automatically generates B-roll, it cleans up audio, and it reframes your videos for any platform. It is so easy to start using. Let me show you how right now. All you got to do is go to opus.pro/sidebar. You sign up, you upload a video, and in just a few minutes, you will have tons of perfectly edited clips ready to go. So whether you're making videos for TikTok or Shorts or Instagram Reels, Opus Clip is your one-stop shop for getting your best content seen by more viewers across all these platforms with the press of just one button. And if you're wondering how good these AI edited videos are from Opus Clip, just look at our content here at Law&Crime. Our producers have used Opus to help us cut and share clips of some of our biggest trials, and we do it very, very quickly. So at Sidebar, look, we know our listeners have a lot of opinions and ideas to share, and this is the most powerful tool there is to help you edit like a pro and grow your audience. So give it a try for yourself. Go to opus.pro/sidebar to start creating your own videos today. And to be clear, law enforcement hasn't come out and said, what the condition of the car was. But here's the point. When we say there's been officially no identified suspect or person of interest, do you think police really do have somebody? And I guess the bigger question is, and this is a bigger theme I have today, are they just not making it public? If it didn't involve David at all, in any way, would they say it? Would they say, hey, listen, we want to clear him. At least we'll put out a statement and say at this point in time, David is not connected to this whatsoever. I haven't seen a statement like that. Now, I'm not suggesting that he is. Again, he hasn't been officially implicated in wrongdoing, but would it be typical of police to say if he had absolutely no involvement in this whatsoever, and there's this whole cloud on a lot of public attention, I have to imagine they have more information than we do at this point. Would they come out and immediately, clear him of anything?
It's case-by-case basis. I mean, if you absolutely know it's not him, you know that. But I can tell you that these detectives are operating on theories, too. There's probably 2 or 3 different theories that they're operating under. And I think they're not giving that information that he's been cleared because they just don't know yet. They're still trying to figure out exactly what went down, what caused this girl's death. When we talk about persons of interest, it's kind of a weird statement to use or weird way to depict somebody as a person of interest in a disappearance. The girl's been missing for 1.5 years, roughly, I believe is the number. How could you be a person of interest in a disappearance unless you're doing an abduction? And I don't think there's any evidence that she was abducted. It seems like she left under her own free will. So I think there's not a lot of information coming out because they just don't know yet. They're operating under theories, but you can't just, talk about all your theories.
Toxicology testing, other testing, lab reports for cause and manner of death. You've said it so well. Feels very clear that may be the answer for this investigation for a lot of people. Her cause of death has been deferred pending additional testing. What can we expect from that testing? How accurate is it going to be? And I guess the most important question of all is, when do those tests come back and when are they made public?
Well, I don't know when they're going to make it public out there, but I know it takes about 6 weeks sometimes, 6 to 8 weeks for us to get toxicology back on a post. And what that's going to show is levels of alcohol or ethanol in her system, any drugs, any level of drugs, regardless of what it is, they'll test for it. And you will be able to see that if she had a toxicity level high enough to kill her on whatever drug it is. If that comes back positive, or it comes back in a number that would have killed her, now you got a cause. You don't have a manner yet, but you have a cause of death. And manner just means, did she accidentally take it? Did somebody drug her? And again, these are all very, very difficult things to prove in a situation where you've lost a lot of evidence on a severely decomposed body.
Does an investigation get more complicated by what we actually reported in a previous sidebar that, and this is being reported by LA Magazine and other outlets, that David has hired a defense attorney, a very prominent celebrity defense attorney, Blair Burke. She's represented Harvey Weinstein, CeeLo Green, Bruno Mars, Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan. So far, from what we've seen, not entirely sure her role as of yet in this case. I haven't seen any public statement from her on behalf of her client, but when someone, I can't say a subject, I can't say a suspect, I can't say a person of interest, obviously can't say a defendant, when someone has some sort of connection to a case and they hire a criminal defense attorney, does that complicate the role of investigators, and how?
It can. It can. And again, if he didn't get a defense attorney in this case, I think he'd be foolish in this situation, because it's not only the death of the girl, but we're talking about the fact that she was a minor, that angle of it too. It can't. And when you have an attorney representing a person of interest or a client, you have to go through the attorney to talk to this person. Now, when you go to talk to somebody, I could go to his house and say, hey, this is who we are. At that point, the person I'm talking to can say, okay, I have an attorney. You have to talk to my attorney. Now, regardless, now we know that people are represented. Doesn't mean we can't talk to them, because the right to counsel has to be invoked by the person who you're talking to. Many, many times we've had lawyers show up when we have somebody in custody and say, hey, I'm this person's lawyer. We'll go in, hey, do you have a lawyer? There's someone out here that says you're a lawyer. You have to tell them that. But that person doesn't necessarily have to say, yep, that's my lawyer. I'm not talking to you. They're the person that has to invoke their right. So I think it's probably a smart move to have a lawyer in this situation, and it can impede law enforcement when they start to do interviews. It doesn't always do that. She may bring her client in. They may speak to law enforcement with a lot of conditions, a lot of things that she'll allow them to answer and things she won't. So it can impede the investigation, but it's nothing they're not used to dealing with.
I want to talk about the property that he was renting. So we know that the Tesla was registered in his name. It was found in the Hollywood Hills. We have also seen reporting that, again, he was renting this property, this mansion nearby. Reporting says $20,000 a month. He apparently broke the lease, moved his stuff out. This came after authorities searched the place, confiscated items pursuant to a search warrant. Well, TMZ is reporting that the owner, Malden Trifunovic, is getting that mansion ready to be back on the market as soon as possible. That someone came by last week to pick up a few things, but anything that was left behind, he's tossing out because he wants another renter in place. Now, TMZ has actually posted photos of a crew apparently tossing out stuff, so maybe stuff possibly belonging to David. Will, I thought that was interesting, because does that mean that the house has no more evidentiary value? Why allow this to happen? Why not just it be closed off, make sure nothing happens to it?
Well, you can only hold people's property for so long. And the whole, always the legal standard is reasonableness, right? Is it reasonable to keep this person's property for so long? You get a search warrant done, you have 96 hours in Illinois to execute that search warrant. If you can't get everything out of there in 96 hours, you have to apply for an extension to the warrant. So it's not reasonable to lock down this person's property. I'm sure they went through it pretty well. And once it's released, it's his property. He does whatever he wants with it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And that's a good point to make. I did want to talk to you about Celeste, and I want to talk to you about her movements, what may have been going on in her life. So ABC7 has reported that court records show that police in Lake Elsinore, California, showed up to Celeste's family's home multiple times in the last several years. That reporting from TMZ, News Nation, ABC, shows that Riverside County Sheriff's deputies, they were called out to this home, Celeste's home, 11 times over a 14-month period. ABC says that a phone log from the home shows that there are many calls, particularly in 2024, to this home. Many are listed as follow-ups, that Celeste's apparent ex-boyfriend told TMZ that she had a tough home life. There is surveillance footage from a liquor store in March of 2024. This is a liquor store that was in the neighborhood where you apparently see Celeste jogging down a street. She turns a corner, disappears from frame. We believe that this is one of her apparent runaway attempts, that while she apparently went missing in April of 2024, there is another video of seemingly Celeste in September 2024 when she's apparently back in this Lake Elsinore neighborhood arguing with people, possibly about a prank at her home. That has shifted the timeline. So, Will, how much of this is doing a deep dive into Celeste's life? Every aspect of it. The surveillance footage, the missing persons reports, what her home life was like. How much of it is the investigation centered on that? And how confident are you that they can track what she was up to before she wound up dead?
I'm confident that if a 14-year-old's missing, from their home, there's some things going on in that house. Okay. It's a big part of the investigation. It gives you a little background of her mindset. Her movements are huge. We have to figure out where she was going. Where has she been for a year and a half? How is she making a living? Who's taking her in? All of that is crucial to finding out how she ended up in that car. So yes, the deep dive into the family life is big. All of her friends, the ex-boyfriend, everybody comes into play at this. Talk about surveillance videos of her. Is she staying with somebody around the house? How did she end up with David? All of these things can be put into play, and all these things can be figured out by doing interviews and doing the deep dive that you're talking about. And her personal life and her home life is a big part of that, because 14-year-olds aren't on the street for a year and a half by themselves.
Going back to something that you mentioned, talking David here. So Steve Fisher, that PI, this is his opinion, but I'm curious your perspective on it. So he said, quote, "I'm really baffled that he hasn't at least come out," meaning David, acknowledged, said her name, or offered condolences. You agree or disagree with that? Because he's hired an attorney. There could be legal consequences for any statement that he makes. You agree or disagree with that?
Well, I'm going to tell you something that a defense attorney told me years ago. Okay. You never have to explain something that you didn't say. So the best thing to do, in his case, is keep your mouth shut. You can't talk about a relationship with a 14-year-old when you're 20. So I think that the silence is probably his best option. That doesn't really surprise me.
I have to get your opinion on this, though. It goes back to the idea, and I mentioned this in a previous sidebar when we first covered it. Is this, are we talking about David possibly being targeted, framed, set up? Why? So we reported on this in a previous sidebar, you can check it out, but there was a recently released body cam video that points to David's family maybe being the target of some kind of scheme. TMZ obtained this footage, which was taken by police after Celeste's body was found in that car. Officers respond to David's family's home in Hempstead, Texas, because someone had reported there was gunfire.
I'll go out wide and keep you covered. You want to tap the door? Just wait for me. Because I'm going to keep you covered. Go ahead. We got you covered. Come right here. There's too many windows. Here, knock on the door. Dude, we got a phone call from here saying that somebody was dead. What? Is there somebody else that lives on this property that has your address? What's your address?
No.
That's it.
That's it. That's what actually got.
We got an address. There was a gunshot and a woman screamed.
What?
I'm serious. That's why we came up here like this, because and then they talked to the caller. Whoever they were talking to said that there's a person dead.
No, sir. No, sir.
Knock on the door. We need to talk to him. We ain't got time for this.
Ma'am, we got to figure out what's going on so we can leave, okay?
Very advised. We made contact. They said nothing happened here. She shut the door. Now she's calling 911.
That's clear. We haven't received a call.
I believe she's going to be in the process.
Go ahead, give him a call if you want to verify it. Okay.
All right, she's calling you now. There's more that went on.
Can you repeat, sir? Broken traffic.
Huh? That's not normal activity. If you were at the wrong address, they'd be concerned about somebody else. Like really? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they'd be trying to help.
Can you send Tinder 42, sir?
Sorry to bother you, but somebody called and said there was something. I mean, there was a person where they called on themselves. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, there's somebody dead.
Someone's dead. Yeah.
That's why we have to take caution. You know what I mean? I'm trying to scare y'all. Just this house is way off the roadway.
So you just opened the gate and came in?
Yes, ma'am. I'll put it back. I have a gate just like it.
I can get part of my country.
Yeah, when it's something like this, when they say somebody's dead, their life matters more than, you know what I mean?
I hear.
I didn't damage your gate. I just opened it.
Okay.
Oh, it ain't on their phone.
And this is not a Texas.
Yeah, it's an out-of-state number.
Someone's messing with us. Someone's messing with us.
But it would be pinged here, though, because wherever they call from, it pings and sends it to dispatch.
What?
So, like, whenever you call 911, wherever you are, it sends like a ping that's how they know the address.
And this address came up to this number?
Yes, ma'am. That's where he was. Kelly to engine 42.
So it says somebody on my property?
It could be. We'll check the property for you.
Yes, please.
So we'll ride around.
This
If
is
you
not
give me a layout, how's the property? Like, does it go further back? Like,
No, it doesn't go any further back. It sits right here and then it goes
Follow the fence, with the gate, and the fence around, just around the fence.
Well, him and I will ride around and check, and then we'll leave. You know.
Yeah, okay. So that was a false alarm. You see, I don't like this kind of thing. So if I really do have an emergency, then
Yeah.
okay. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry.
If you do have an emergency, you know we're going to be here.
Okay.
We're going to get here.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate
Thank you.
All right.
Y'all have a good night.
Now, it appears that the Burke family may have been victims of what has been called swatting, when someone calls 911, pretends there's an imminent threat at someone's home in the hopes that police will respond, maybe in full force. It's not clear if David was at the home when this happened, but you could see just how confused and apprehensive his parents were. Will, is this a part of the investigation? Is this connected? I mentioned at the time that I wonder if investigators are looking at this and saying, interesting timing. Is he being targeted? Is he being framed? Is this connected? Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are you have to look at every aspect of it. Could it be that somebody did that? But then cui bono, who benefits from that? Who benefits from framing David? Is there extortion? Because if he's being extorted, I think he would probably tell law enforcement he's being extorted. Are you trying to destroy a person's reputation? It's pretty extreme to destroy a reputation by killing someone and dismembering them. So yeah, you got to think about it. You got to look into it. The thing in Texas is a long way from California. Is this conspiracy so far reaching that's going to go from Texas to California? I don't want to discount it, but it's one of these things that you look at and say it could be, but I'm not going to pour all my resources into a frame.
And we go back to this relationship, right? Or what the relationship is. As I've been clear, police have not definitively established what that connection is between David and Celeste. There has been a lot of speculation, though, that they were involved in some sort of romantic or sexual relationship. TMZ reported that they had sources who came to them that people around David believed that she was 19 years old, that there was some sort of relationship going on. They were apparently photographed together at one point after her body was found in early September. People online discovered that there was this allegedly unfinished track of David's, which may have included the name Celeste in its file name. It was apparently leaked on SoundCloud back in 2023. Someone claiming to be a moderator of the singer's Discord and Twitch accounts posted a message saying they don't know Celeste, they don't know how old she was, they didn't know that she was missing. Others who did know her have said, again, they believe Celeste was 19, that she was attending college. She was actually in the 7th grade, by the way. But they said that she was able to attend age-restricted events. If that's true, you think about maybe a fake ID, what was going on. But that suggestion has been brought up by police, according to TMZ, that there's also the fact that it seems the pair may have had matching tattoos, the word shh on their fingers. Doesn't mean that they had been in a romantic relationship, but I believe that was used as an identifier of her body. I was talking to Bobby Chacon about this, Will, and he made the point that she could have just been a fan and saw his tattoo and got a matching tattoo. Investigators maybe know more about what was the relationship between the two of them, whether it's connected to her death or not. It's a piece of the puzzle. But I also have to imagine the public can help here. The public can help investigators maybe unearth a little bit more about this apparent connection. What do investigators do here as they're trying to establish that?
You know, you made a very, very good point, and it's really the only defense in a situation where you have a 14-year-old in a relationship with a 19 or 20-year-old. I had no idea how old this person was. Now, think about this. You're in a romantic relationship with a minor that you think is 19 years old. You find out this person's really 14, and you start thinking about, and people around you start thinking about the impact of that. That's a motive. You know, that's a motive. If you find out that I've been with a minor, holy cow, what does this mean for my career? I'm not suggesting that's what happened.
Right.
But you're talking about a motive here. I thought the same thing. It could have been a fan. I'm sure this kid has a lot of young girls who are fans. Obsessive fans, you know, there's orders of protection against plenty of people that are stalking celebrities. Again, I'm not suggesting that's what's happening here, but it's very possible it's a fan. He meets her at a show. She's got a fake ID. You know, she makes herself look older. I guess it's not hard to do. But then you find out this is really a minor. Now you got big problems in your life. So what are you going to do about it?
Let me just add this point. When they conducted an autopsy, and this came out last week, she was not pregnant at the time of her death, and they indicated she had not been pregnant in the past year. So just to put that point out there. Before I let you go, Will, you're an expert in investigations. What are you looking out for next? What do you think is going to happen next?
Well, I think this case is going to start to turn when you get a cause and manner of death. Again, you have no prosecutable case into her death until you have a cause and manner. And that cause and manner comes back as whatever it comes back as: drug overdose, accidental, manual strangulation, homicide. You have to have a cause and manner before the investigation moves further. Now, you have plenty of time to make a case. If it turns out this poor girl dies of a drug overdose and it appears to be accidental, that doesn't mean there's going to be no charges in this case. I anticipate that there'll be charges in this case, one way or the other. But as an investigator right now, you've got a bunch of theories, you've got a bunch of reports and handwritten notes, and you're analyzing video, you're doing your interviews, you're working this as it is a murder. You're doing everything you would do in any murder investigation. And if it doesn't turn out that it's a murder, your investigation is still the same. So as an investigator, nothing really changes, but the big change is going to be, and the big break is going to be, the cause and manner of death.
Will Svilar, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And that is all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can follow me on X or Instagram. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll see you next time.